Chapter 6.
It's untrue! You lie! Screamed the frightened man. We were not responsible! Palamo faced the group of leading citizens. Behind the overdressed merchant were his three colleagues, those who had earlier met Elric and Moonglum in the tavern. One of the accusing citizens pointed a chubby finger towards the north and Nikorn's palace. So, Nikorn was an enemy of all the other traders in Bakshan, that I accept. But now a horde of bloody-handed reavers attacked this castle with the aid of demons, and Elric of Melniboné leads them. You know what you were responsible. The gossip's all over the city. You employed Elric, and this is what's happened.
But we didn't know he would go to such lengths to kill Nikorn.
Fat Tormiel wrung his hands, his face aggrieved and afraid.
You're wronging us. We're
wronging you? Farat, spokesman for his fellow citizens, was thick-lipped and florid. He waved his hands in angry exasperation. When Elric and his jackals have done with Nikorn, they'll come to the city. Fool! That is what the albino sorcerer planned to begin with. He was only mocking you, for you provided him with an excuse. Armed men we can fight, but not foul sorcery. What shall we do? Bakshan will be raised within the day. Tormiel turned on Palamo. This was your idea. You think of a plan. Palamo stuttered. We could pay a ransom, bribe them, give them enough money to satisfy them. And who shall give this money? Asked Farat. Again, the argument began. Elric looked with distaste at Theleb-Khana's broken corpse. He turned away and faced a Blanche-featured Moonglum, who said hoarsely, Let's away now, Elric. Yashana awaits you in Bakshan as she promised. You must keep your end of the bargain I made for you. Elric nodded warily. Aye. The Emerians seem to have taken the castle by the sound of it. We'll leave them to their spoiling and get out while we may. Will you allow me a few moments here alone? The sword rejects the soul. Moonglum sighed thankfully. I'll join you in the courtyard within the quarter hour. I wish to claim some measure of the spoils. He left clattering down the stairs while Elric remained standing over his enemy's body. He spread out his arms, the sword, dripping blood, still in his hand.
Dvimfar,
he cried.
You and our countrymen have been avenged. Let any evil one who holds the soul of Dvimfar release it now, and take instead the soul of Theleb-Khana.
Within the room, something invisible and intangible, but sensed all the same, flowed and hovered over the sprawled body of Theleb-Khana. Elric looked out the window and thought he heard the beating of dragon wings, smelled the acrid breath of dragons, saw a shape winging across the dawn sky, bearing Dvimfar the Dragon Master away. Elric half smiled. The gods of Melniboné protect thee wherever thou art, he said quietly, and turned away from the carnage, leaving the room. On the stairway, he met Nikorn of Ilmar. The merchant's rugged face was full of anger. He trembled with rage. There was a big sword in his hand. So I found you, wolf, he said. I gave you your life, and you have done this to me. Elric said tiredly, It was to be, but I gave my word that I would not take your life, and believe me, I would not, Nikorn, even had I not pledged my word. Nikorn stood 2 steps from the door blocking the exit.
Then I'll take yours. Come, engage!
He moved out into the courtyard, half stumbled over an Emerian corpse, righted himself and waited, glowering, for Elric to emerge. Elric did so, his rune sword sheathed. No.
Defend yourself, wolf!
Automatically, the albino's right hand crossed to his sword hilt, but still, he did not unsheath it. Nikorn cursed and aimed a well-timed blow which barely missed the white-faced sorcerer. He skipped back and now he tugged out Stormbringer, still reluctant, and stood poised and wary, waiting for the Bakshanites' next move.
Elric intended to simply disarm Nikorn. He did not want to kill or maim this brave man who had spared him when he had been entirely at the other's mercy. Nikorn swung another powerful stroke at Elric and the albino parried. Stormbringer was moaning softly, shuddering and pulsating. Metal clanged, and then the fight was on in full earnest as Nikorn's rage turned to calm, possessed fury. Elric was forced to defend himself with all his skill and power. Though older than the albino and a city merchant, Nikorn was a superb swordsman. His speed was fantastic, and at times, Elric was not on the defensive only because he desired it. But something was happening to the rune blade. It was twisting in Elric's hand and forcing him to make a counterattack. Nikorn backed away, a light akin to fear in his eyes as he realized the potency of Elric's hell-forged steel. The merchant fought grimly, and Elric did not fight at all. He felt entirely in the power of the whining sword which hacked and cut at Nikorn's guard. Stormbringer suddenly shifted in Elric's hand. Nikorn screamed. The rune sword left Elric's grasp and plunged on its own accord towards the heart of his opponent. No! Elric tried to catch hold of this blade, but could not. Stormbringer plunged into Nikorn's great heart and wailed in demoniac triumph. No! Elric got hold of the hilt and tried to pull it from Nikorn. The merchant shrieked in hell-brought agony. He should have been dead. He still half-lived.
It's taking me. The thrice-damned thing is taking me. Nikorn gurgled horribly, clutching at the black steel with his hands turned to claws. Stop it, Elric! I beg you, stop it, please! Elric tried again to tug the blade from Nikorn's heart. He could not. It was rooted in flesh, sinew, and vitals. It moaned greedily, drinking into it all that was the being of Nikorn of Ilmar. It sucked the life force from the dying man, and all the while its voice was soft and disgustingly sensuous. Still, Elric struggled to pull the sword free. It was impossible.
Damn you!
He moaned.
This man was almost my friend. I gave him my word not to kill him.
But Stormbringer, though sentient, could not hear its master.
Nikorn shrieked once more, the shriek dying to a low, lost whimper. And then his body died. It died, and the soul stuff of Nikorn joined the souls of the countless others, friends, kin, and enemies, who had gone to feed that which fed Elric of Melniboné. Elric sobbed. Why is this curse upon me? Why? He collapsed to the ground in the dirt and the blood.
Minutes later, Moonglum came upon his friend lying face downward. He grasped Elric by his shoulder and turned him. He shuddered when he saw the albino's agony-racked face. What happened? Elric raised himself on one elbow and pointed to where Nikorn's body lay a few feet away.
Another Moonglum? Oh, curse this blade!
Moonglum said uncomfortably. He would have killed you, no doubt. Do not think about it. Many a word's been broken through no fault of he who gave it. Come, my friend. Ishana awaits us in the Tavern of the Purple Dove. Elric struggled upright and began to walk slowly toward the battered gates of the palace where horses awaited them. As they rode for Bakshan, not knowing what was troubling the people of that city, Elric tapped Stormbringer, which hung once more at his side. His eyes were hard and moody, turned inwards on his own feelings. Be wary of this devil blade, Moonglum. It kills the foe, but savors the blood of friends and kinfolk most. Moonglum shook his head quickly, as if to clear it, and looked away. He said nothing.
Elric made as if to speak again, but then changed his mind. He needed to talk then. He needed to, but there was nothing to say at all. Palamo scowled. He stared hurt-faced as his slave struggled with his chests of treasure, lugging them out to pile them in the street beside his great house. In other parts of the city, Palamo's 3 colleagues were also in various stages of heartbreak. Their treasure, too, was being dealt with in a like manner. The burghers of Bakshan had decided who was to pay any possible ransom, and then a ragged citizen was shambling down the street, pointing behind him and shouting,
The albino and his companion at the north gate! The burghers who stood near to Palamo exchanged glances. Farrat swallowed. He said, Elric comes to bargain. Quick, open the treasure chests and tell the city guard to admit him. One of the citizens scurried off. Within a few minutes, while Farad and the rest worked frantically to expose Palamo's treasure to the gaze of the approaching albino, Elric was galloping up the street, Moonglum beside him. Both men were expressionless. They knew enough not to show their puzzlement. "What's this?" Elric said, casting a look at Palamo. Farad cringed. "Treasure?" he whined. "Yours, Lord Elric, for you and your men. There's much more. There is no need to use sorcery, no need for your men to attack us. The treasure here is fabulous. Its value is enormous. Will you take it and leave the city in peace?" Moonglum almost smiled, but he controlled his features. Elric said coolly, "It will do. I accept it. Make sure this and the rest is delivered to my men at Nikorn's castle, or we'll be roasting you and your friends over open fires by the morrow." Farad coughed suddenly, trembling. "As you say, Lord Elric, it shall be delivered." The two men wheeled their horses in the direction of the Tavern of the Purple Dove. When they were out of earshot, Moonglum said, "What I gathered back there, it's Master Palermo and his friends who are paying that unasked for toll." Elric was incapable of any real humor, but he half chuckled. I'd planned to rob them from the start, and now their own fellows have done it for us. On our way back, we shall take our pick of the spoils." He rode on and reached the tavern.
Yashana was waiting there, nervously, dressed for traveling. When she saw Elric's face, she sighed with satisfaction and smiled silkily.
Elric Ka'ana is dead,
she said.
"Now we can resume our interrupted relationship, Elric."
The albino nodded.
That was part of the bargain. You kept yours when you helped Moonglum to get my sword back for me.
He showed no emotion. She embraced him, but he drew back. "Later," he murmured.
But that is one promise I shall not break, Yashana.
He helped the puzzled woman mount her waiting horse. They rode back toward Palamo's house.
And what of Nikorn? Is he safe? I liked that man.
He died.
Elric's voice was strained.
How?
She asked.
Because, like all merchants,
Elric answered,
he bargained too hard.
There was an unnatural silence among the three as they made their horses speed faster towards the gates of Bakshan, and Elric did not stop when the others did, to take their pick of Palamo's riches. He rode on, unseeing, and the others had to spur their steeds in order to catch up with him, 2 miles beyond the city. Over Bakshan, no breeze stirred in the gardens of the rich. No winds came to blow cool on the sweating faces of the poor. Only the sun blazed in the heavens, round and red, and a shadow, shaped like a dragon, moved across it once, and then was gone.